gave me something that today I have to work on me. I have to work on me, but I'm not lost anymore.
We came from roaches on the floor, a notice on the door, baking soda in the jar, but now we focus on the law. It's like soap up in a cloth, the way it's soaking and it wash. It's something like good dope, cause it's potent and it's raw.
I used to post up out the store, work stashed behind the door. Everything I had was pure, so fiends was coming back for more. The Most High opened my eyes, and then I seen that I was flawed. Now I'm addicted to these laws because they potent and they raw. I was in and out of jail, cause in the streets, yeah, I was lost. Trying to be like all the hustlers, they don't tell you it's a cause.
All right, y'all, first and foremost, I want to say call halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, I'm going to jump straight into it. Get Isaiah chapter 28, verse 15. You give me Genesis 49 about Judah, right? Because Judah, the thing is about Judah just sat their ass down, bro. They've sat themselves down like an old lion.
Facts.
And that them sitting themselves down, talking about you American Negroes, right? Y'all have been comfortable with your captivity. Y'all have been comfortable being at the bottom, and y'all hid yourself in a whole house of lies to keep the truth away, because the truth, what the truth is, it's going to be uncomfortable, right? You have to stop eating pork. You're going to have to stop hanging out with Brody, Cody, Karen, and Molly, right?
Don't forget Evan.
Evan. You got to keep some high holy days the world isn't going to keep, right? You're going to lose some friends. You're going to lose some family, right? So knowing all that, you're going to just build up this entire wall, which is your refuge of lies to keep you away from it. A lie like this: oh, Christ died, so now I don't got to keep the law, right? Paul came to the Gentiles. Gentiles means non-Israelites, so everybody can be saved. Who cares what Christ said? Who cares what God said? Who cares what the law says? Right? Paul came, and now everybody can be saved. Right? So give me this.
Genesis chapter 49, verse 9. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey, my sons, that are gone up.
They are what?
That are gone up.
Yeah.
He stooped down, he crouched as a lion.
Yeah.
And as an old lion, old lion, yeah. Who shall rouse him up?
Who shall rouse him up, man? That's a rhetorical question. But the point I wanted to make is he stooped down like an old lion. What does that mean? Let's go into that stooping down. Read this.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 28, verse 15. Because ye have said, we have made a covenant with death,
yeah.
And with hell are we at agreement. When the overflowing scourge shall pass through, yeah. It shall not come unto us.
Yeah.
For we have made lies our refuge.
The what?
We have made lies our refuge.
So it says you have made lies your refuge. Does anybody ever know what a refuge is?
Safe haven.
A safe haven, a shelter. Our people have made lies their shelter. They lie to themselves so they can sleep at night. That's what our people do. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the only nation who has to do that every single day to live in this land. You have to tell yourself every night before you go to bed, oh, white people actually care about us now, so now they allow us to vote, right? They allow us to kill our babies, right? They allow us to do this, they allow us to do that, right? But when you think about it, they're allowing you to do something. If you're equal, why are they allowing you to do anything? Nobody allows the white man to do anything. Nobody allows the other nation to do anything, but they have to allow us to do something. You know why? Because we're tributaries unto them. If you're tributaries to somebody, that means you're a servant or a slave. That's right. You have to lie to yourself every single day to convince yourself, you Black, Hispanic, and Native American man, that you're not a slave in America. But deep down, psychologically, you know. And you're not going to do anything about it at all, because that requires you to go through tribulation. And that's one thing they don't like to do. They want the smooth ways. They want the smooth paths. Something that just feels good. That's why Christianity is the biggest religion ever, right? Because it really would be Islam, but Islam make you have to do a little bit. They don't like to do anything, right? They like Christianity because, like, oh, this where is he at? Where is it? This is my Messiah, right? He looks just like my friend Brody. He says I can do whatever I want, and all I have to do is throw some money in a collection plate, and it's all fine. So why change? Black people want to sit here and have all these meetings, right? Because I'm getting on Judah today. We already pulled the scripture about Judah in Genesis 49. I'm getting on Judah today, right? Black people want to do all these things to point out the problems in the black neighborhoods, the problems we have with our culture, the problems we have with civility towards each other, but they don't never want to try to address the morality thereof, ever, at any point, right? We want to march when somebody gets beat up. We want to march when somebody gets shot. You want to march and do all this marching and stuff. All you're doing is getting exercise. The same person you're marching next to could be the same person who shoots you the next week.
Right.
Because they live on a different street. Because they have a different rag on than you do. Because you stepped on their shoes. Because they stepped on your shoes. That's never, that problem we have with our morality is never going to change until we come back to the Lord.
Right.
Until we start keeping the law, statutes, commandments, and having true character in this truth. Because what a lot of Israelites mess up on, they think just knowing you're an Israelite is the truth. If that's the truth, Kanye West is the truth. All these other celebrities who know they're Israelites, who don't do nothing, are in the truth. No. You know what the truth actually is? A set of principles that you do not compromise ever. That's what the truth is. That's what the law is. That's what it was created for. Just like how Christ said he's the way, the truth, and the light, right? Because he exemplified that. Give me 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. I love this scripture because it cuts so many things. Christ showed you how a person can operate in the world that's corrupted with character, with principles, with morality. And that's something that y'all don't like to do. Because it's hard. Because it requires you to do something. It requires you to have structure within yourself, within your house, and within your family. But since you don't want to have strife with your wife, you submit to your wife. That's what y'all do. Then you compromise your morality, and then once you've already do that, it's just a slippery slope. That's what our people do. Read this.
Chapter 2, verse 21. For even here unto where you were called, because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example that ye should follow his steps, who did not sin, neither was guile found in his mouth.
He did not sin, neither was trickery or guile found in his mouth, man. What's up with this guy, man?
Yeah, hey, what's up, buddy?
Yeah, man, God is good every day, man. He's good every single day. Every single day, man. He's good. But who is he good to, though? That's the real question. Who is he good to? Is he good to the Moabites? Is he good to the East Indians? Is he good to the them, Edomites? Is he good to them? No, he's not. You know who he's good to? The blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's who God's good to. And the ones who continue to keep the law, statutes, and commandments. Show you what pure religion is. That pure worship of the Father. Go ahead, give me this. James, back with me.
Black Panthers don't like slavery.
This is the book of James, chapter 1, verse 27. So, pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the fatherless and widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world.
So what?
Unspotted from the world.
You gotta keep yourself unspotted from the world. The world tells you homosexuality is all right. The world tells you transgenderism, he, her, they, them, it, that, XYZ is correct. That's what they tell you. They tell you that. They want you to believe that, like the world was just created this way. When there's only two sets of genitalia in our species, bro.
Bring that out.
Two sets of genitalia. It's either this one or it's that one. You gotta sign this one, so you have that one, right? But you know what the world tell you? Oh, it's fluidity. You can be whatever you want to be, man. You can be a transformer if you want to be, right? You can hate your brother if you want. Just come as you are, right? You can can beat up old ladies, you can steal their purse, you can kill your brother. All you gotta do is just leave something in the collection plate. The world tells you that. Christianity tells you that. That's how we know it's of the world. Because that's not after the rudiments of Christ. We already seen Christ was our example. Christ was our example to walk after. Hold this, we're coming back to this. Give me what did I want? Example to walk after this. Now if I read this, we'll come back to it. I'll remember it.
Matthew chapter 5, verse 48. Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
What?
Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect.
Be ye there perfect, like your Father in heaven is perfect. Christians always want to talk about, oh, I'm not perfect. Oh, I'm not this, or I can't do that. But you see Christ giving you a command. That's a commandment. Christ gave anybody who follows him a commandment to be ye perfect as the Father which is in heaven is perfect. What is that perfection? We see Christ leaving us an example. Follow after that. We see he did no sin, so what does that mean? You can do no sin. How can he be? Because Christians will say, "Oh, Christ did this, and we can never aspire to be like that." But how can he be our example if we can never reach the level that he was on? How is that? How does that work? That means you're picking and choosing what you want to believe in. Oh, now I know what I want. Colossians 2 verse 8. Right after the rudiments of the world. What you got? Oh yeah, go ahead.
This is the book of Colossians chapter 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit.
And philosophy and vain deceit. And where does this philosophy and vain deceit come from? The world. It could come from your wife. It could come from your teachers. It could come from college. It could come from your oppressor. Right? All these philosophies and vain deceit really come from people's opinions. The world, go ahead.
After the tradition of men.
After the who?
The tradition of men.
The tradition of men. Tradition has been passed on and on. That's why they want to indoctrinate the kids. Once you indoctrinate the kids, they're going to grow through their teenager life, then go to adulthood and teach their kids to do that. Right. It's a never-ending cycle. That's how you know when people say something like, "Oh, a child's not born racist," right? A child's not born racist. He has to be taught that. Okay. What about the first racist? What about the first racist? How are we going to explain that? You can't explain that. You know, because it's faulty understanding that you have that's been parakeeted to you throughout your entire life. The so-called white man, the other nations have been created to hate us, and they exemplify that all the time, right? Just like you look at those postcards with a black man being hung, right, with a noose around his neck, and all those white people around him, there was kids there. Right. I cut somebody at my job about this yesterday. There was kids there, right? It was cheering it on, people pointing at it, right? Having picnics in it. You think they just somehow they just somehow all forgot about that, right? They just somehow all like, you know what? They all had an epiphany that we don't hate black people no more. No. That's why slavery and disenfranchising and discrimination has evolved over the ages, right? Because you see, after the Jim Crow laws, right, they passed something to where you can't just discriminate on somebody unless they're what? Unless they're what? Not working. No, not working, not that. Unless they're imprisoned. If they're an inmate, you can disenfranchise them. So what happened right after that? Mass incarceration. Nothing's changed. Racism has never stopped in this place. This place was created in racism. There's nothing they can do besides burn this place to the ground to root out the racism.
That's right.
But we're telling you, Black, Hispanics, and Native Americans, there's going to be a punishment for Becky, for Karen, for Ken, for Brody. They're all taking their ass into captivity.
That's right.
That's what the Bible teaches. That's not what your pastor going to teach, because he's of the world and of the rudiments of the world. But read this again.
This is the book of Colossians chapter 2 verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit, after the tradition of men, after the rudiments of the world, and not after Christ.
After the rudiments of the world and not after Christ. That's why they teach y'all everything contrary to what Christ walked, contrary to how Christ walked. we read in the Gospels, Christ didn't transgress the laws. We read in the laws, no matter of fact, we even read into Paul's epistles where he didn't transgress the law. He even says it in Philippians chapter 3. But for some reason, that same person who said he doesn't transgress the law is now saying it's okay to transgress the law according to your understanding. You see how that works? And you know who teaches you that? Who gives y'all those traditions? Your pastor, your neighborhood so-called white man, all of them. What's up? What you got? She what? Oh, for real? Oh, for real? Oh, we were just talking about that, huh? At Passover, right?
Yeah, we need more now.
So, yeah, I'm gonna ask you a question, right? Do you believe in God?
Sometimes.
What does that mean?
Sometimes I feel like they're not all there for me.
What does that mean?
There have been times in my life where I felt that God was just not there.
What did you do to deserve him being there?
Fear.
Did you fear him?
I wasn't fearing God. I was fearing the situation.
No, I'm saying like, cause you say like there's sometimes you feel like he wasn't there. So I'm saying, what did you do to deserve him being there for you in that moment?
Oh, okay. I'm not necessarily sure. I feel like the people around me.
We serious.
That didn't quite answer my question, right? Because I'm gonna bring it back. I'm gonna bring it back again. I'm gonna say it one more time. I don't think you understood what I'm saying. You said you feel like he wasn't there for you, correct?
Sure.
That's what you said, correct?
Okay.
I'm asking you, what did you do to deserve him to be there for you in your time of trouble?
What did I do to deserve a self-proclaimed Christian sexually assault me? That is my question.
We're not Christians, so just put that out there.
Okay.
Right.
That's when I was wondering why. Where's God?
But that still doesn't answer my question.
Okay, I'm not sure what you're asking.
I mean, it's very simple,
What
right?
did I do for God? Like, I don't think anyone deserves whether or not God needs to be present. God decides. God is all around. There's a choice whether or not he knows or not. I guess it also depends on your religion. If you think that God, or denomination, I suppose, which I'm still, I don't know what I am.
But I think they're gonna wind up
Whether or not he actually
South
intervenes in one's life.
Let me show you something. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15, and then jump to verse 30. Let me show you something. Let me show you something about the God that we serve.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So this God said, this guy right here, Yahweh in the Hebrew, he says if you don't serve him by keeping his law, statutes, commandments, he's not just talking about a person, not just talking about you, he's not talking about me, he's talking about us as an entire nation. If we don't serve him and keep his commandments, all these curses shall come upon us and overtake us. I'm gonna show you a curse. Read this.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28, so in verse 30. Thou shalt betroth the wife, and another man shall lie with her. Thou shalt build an house, and thou shalt not dwell therein. Thou shalt plant a vineyard, and shalt not gather the grapes thereof.
So here's the thing, right? One of those curses is that people will lay with our women, whether they want to or not, involuntarily. So when I ask you, what did you do to deserve him being on your side? Us as a nation has forsaken the Father. You at one point, even at that point, probably weren't keeping the law, statutes, and commandments in the entirety.
Practicing study Adventist. I like to think we know the Bible pretty well, but I've left.
I mean, two things, right? This is talking about us as a nation. It's not, like I said, like I prefaced it, it's not just you, it's us as a nation. Secondly, the Seventh-day Adventist Church does not know the Bible at all.
That's
right?
why I left.
Yeah, right? So what I'm saying is this. We need to keep these law, statutes, and commandments so things like that doesn't happen. We're not the type of people who's going to say, oh, bad stuff's never going to happen if you start doing right. No, bad stuff will happen because we are these people in our nation.
We are a broken people.
Yes, and the faster we fix that, read verse 1.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 28 and verse 1. And it shall come to pass, If thou shalt hearken diligently unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe and to do all his commandments, which I command thee this day, that the Lord thy God will set thee on high above all nations of the earth.
If we keep the law, statutes, and commandments, he's going to give us the blessing instead of the curses. That is a race. That's the whole purpose of us being out here, to wake up the Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans, to let them know that you are these people. There's a reason why we're going through what we go through. When we start keeping these law, statutes, and commandments, all that stuff stops. That's what we're out here to tell our people.
And does this include the commandments that are listed in the book of Leviticus, such as keeping kosher?
Yes. Yes.
Caffeine.
Not caffeine. Catfish. You're talking about catfish?
Yeah.
Yeah, like catfish, like that's an unlawful fish.
But what about caffeine?
Where do you get caffeine from?
Any kind of stimulant, any kind of drug.
I mean, you don't. I don't know what you're talking about as far as the law.
What is a stimulating drug or an intoxicant?
Well, as far as stimulus,
Antidepressants.
well, hold the offense, because you got like that's you're going into pharmacy at that point. Right? That's a whole different thing. But as far as our dietary things, it's very simple. What we can and can't eat. As far as
Fish with fins and scales, animals that chew the cud, no webbed feet, no scavengers.
Yeah, that's as simple as it gets as far as that, right? So, as far as the stimulus thing, I mean, I don't know what you're talking about on that one. You'd have to show me that. I'm not about to say we're about to do heroin. I'm not. That's not my point. That's not my point. I'm trying to take. I just want to say that. But I'm just saying, as far as like stimulus, like caffeine, I've never read anything that supports that. So I'm asking, if you feel that way, you can show me, because I haven't seen it before.
It's not my personal feeling. I've just heard arguments against it. Yes. Do you all have a website?
We have a whole YouTube channel.
Sweet.
Is it, we got a YouTube channel, we got information on the flyer, we got all of that.
Sorry, I didn't mean to. Oh, thank you.
One thing I want you to take from this altercation we having today is that you need to keep the law, statutes, and commandments for your good, right? Because now, here's the thing.
But if we don't as a nation, we're still in trouble.
Technically, yeah, technically. But you could be that one last person who needs to keep it to get us out of here. That's the mindset we need to keep. I could be on the negative the cup, what is it called? The cup is half empty type mindset. Yeah. I could be like that, be like, oh well, nobody else is gonna do it, so I might as well keep on doing whatever. But you could be that one. That's the type of mindset we have to have, just the mind of Christ has. That's what we got to do.
And you know, that's why the Most High made it where only few gonna repent, because that's Israel. That's how we think.
That's how we think. Terribly. Terrible mindset. You got questions?
I think that's covered it. Yeah, thank you. Y'all have a blessed day.
You too.
All praise.
Read that Bible. Keep them commandments. Where did I leave off?